Today in the crypto space, we see the market trying to find its bottom, Bitcoin right around the 104,000, Ethereum hovering around the $2,500 mark, and the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins looking pretty good as they wait for Ethereum to show some strength. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but I want to focus on Ethereum because at the end of the day, if Ethereum gets its continuation, expect some green throughout this market. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market, because a lot of us are losing our patience. As you can see, Bitcoin is hesitating, very hesitant, right around the 105, going sideways in the last few hours here. And you can see a lot of the altcoins are pretty much waiting to see what happens. But I think a lot of us right now are focusing on Ethereum. Bitcoin hit a good target. Bitcoin could go sideways all summer long. For the most part, a lot of us wouldn't mind, right? Because sideways price action on Bitcoin gives Ethereum and the altcoins that opportunity to expand. Ethereum at the current moment is looking like it wants to do the catch-up play to Bitcoin, but at its current level, the structure is still intact and it's not breaking to the upside just yet. So the question is this an opportunity to see a continuation for the altcoin market, or is it an opportunity to see perhaps a dip come into play based on Bitcoin, perhaps coming down even as low as to about 102,000. As you guys know, that's a range that I've been focusing on. Even coming down to about 98 and 97,000 is very possible. But in this case, we're just playing it level by level, watching Bitcoin, watching Ethereum, the two heavyweights of the space. Give us the indications, give us that leading indication that the market is ready to start moving. All right, guys, let's see what's going on with the top 100 here. Before we take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum today, we're going to take a look at the overall market. We can see that the market cap is still kind of going sideways, right around $3.4 trillion. A bit of trading volume today, but nothing crazy. Overall, I think the market is quite hesitant, and going forward, we can see that generally speaking, the market is not doing much. Very boring today, sideways everywhere. And it's a good thing. In fact, Ethereum did wake up a little bit, structurally speaking, on lower time frames. You can see it's a 1% move. It's not much. But on those lower time frames, 1% can mean a lot because you start breaking certain levels, and those levels give you indications of potential reversals. So we'll definitely get on those lower time frames on ETH. But generally speaking here in the last 24 hours, guys, you're not seeing much. Hyperliquid 5% looks beautiful on that pivot. Did it dip down enough to give us that opportunity? Possibly not. It's still up 64, 65% in the last 30 days. The last 7 days, yes, a 7% dip is good. But the reality is it on a fire sale opportunity? No, it's not. So if you have your bags, congrats, that's great. But for me to be scaling into Hyperliquid with fresh longs, I would need a further dip. And I don't think we're going to get some crazy corrections on Hyperliquid. Sui's doing pretty good, going sideways. A lot of sideways throughout the market, as I mentioned already. You can see that. Monero getting a bit of green. Now, you know what happens the last time Monero showed green? It's Bitcoin and Monero. Very correlated here. Okay, so keep that in mind. We also have, a few others, 2.2% for Aave. That's nothing much, guys. As you can see, there's not many dips and not many rallies. As I scroll through, everything's pretty flatline and neutral. As you can see, look at these fractals. Sideways. Nothing really that interesting. Sonic did okay, 3.8%. That's not bad, bouncing off its bottom range lows. And usually that's a good indication of respecting TA. So far, Sonic has been respecting the TA with that little bit of a bounce, but nothing crazy here, guys. Nothing crazy. Very sideways, very neutral. price action for today. Maybe tomorrow we can get some green, maybe we get some volatility to the upside. And of course, here on the channel, we're prepared either way, up, down, bearish, bullish, it doesn't matter. All right, guys, let's jump right into some of these charts. I know you're here to talk about price action, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin at the end of the day is not doing anything spectacular. In fact, it hanging around here, might propose the idea of a continuation down. And I do see the $102,000 level being a level of where I can see lots of liquidity being trapped up here, with especially liquidations down below it at about 101,000. There's going to be liquidity at those levels, 100%. And then in addition to that, we start looking at what about if it falls through the volume gap. You can see that it's crucial that we stay above, because if not, we can fall through this imbalance and then start hitting other liquidity zones, stemming right around the $98,000, $97,000 area. And then, guys, worst case scenarios, we start falling, and again, level to level, level to level. The only concern that I have at the current moment, based on the daily, is how oversold we are not on the momentum. So the momentum, as you can see, is right now stuck in the chop zone. We do get support in the chop zone very frequently. However, there's other factors to consider. If we do get oversold, which is possible, guys, where's the price going to go? I'm expecting a dead cat bounce here, at least some sort of response, sell a lower high. If it gets a lower high, guys, it's not a good look. We could even bounce here and make a higher high, and that would be awesome to see, obviously. But I'm just entertaining the bearish case scenario where momentum continues coming to the downside. It usually doesn't happen in one green candle. We start falling, right? We can go on lower time frames and potentially expect a bit of a bounce here in that right shoulder formation, and then come down to hunt liquidity, like I mentioned, at lower levels, and see where that goes. If you're getting into a bullish stance on the daily, the best time to go bullish is when the purple line is oversold all the way down here. Until then, you're basically walking on eggshells. And the reality is that we might find setups on lower time frames, but until the daily holds some support here in the chop zone, then maybe we put a stop loss and consider that if it stays in the chop zone and gets a bounce and gets back overbought, then it's an opportunity. But the only way we're going to be able to find that opportunity is on lower time frames, perhaps the 4 hour, 6 hour, even 1 hour. I would say the 4 hour would probably be the best time frame right now to be looking for market structure. We also see that here on the daily, divergence is still here. As you can see, we're getting a bit of follow through to the downside. Good news is that we're not in bearish control zone yet, which means that we could still maintain an upwards trend while we remain above the 0% mark. This is the bullish control zone area, and that means that generally speaking, as long as we're here, the bulls are going to be showing a little bit more strength than the bears. And at this current moment, just because we're in a pullback, it doesn't mean that the bulls are not in control on the daily time frame. Guys, they are still in control. That's the truth. Look at this uptrend. That's beautiful. Now, again, we got to be real. Retracements happen on various time frames. Let's take a look at what's going on in the 4 hour. You can see that this structure looks pretty bad. Like, I get it. I really truly understand, the sentiment here with this, and then this confirmation, high, lower high, and then we're now in a bit of a downtrend. Very clear. Now, the horizontal structure that requires support is right around $101,500, more or less. We got the 200 EMA here on the 4 hour. Again, the volume, the top of the volume gap, the bottom of the volume gap are good levels to keep above, right? We got to keep an eye on those levels. But at the current moment, structurally speaking, we did not break down. So we're still okay, right? It is still a slight uptrend. If you look at this bottom right here, and these tops, tops, bottoms, tops, you get what I mean? Like, we're still trending upwards. And it's very clear that that's the case. And until the trend is not our friend, until we make a market structure shift where we start to see a lower low, even on the 4 hour, guys, we still have to understand that Bitcoin is still okay. Now, breaking below 102 and change is not a good look. Even lower, 101 and change, 101.5, means that we break below these bottoms and we start falling through the volume gap and hunting liquidity at lower levels. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now we look at oscillators. If you kind of see what's happening, we got overbought. We're a bit of a downtrend, as you can see. Volatility right now is pushing to the downside, which, always keeps me interested. The orange is pushing down. And as long as we do not make a lower low on that push down, we're doing okay. It shows us the bears are not as strong as we thought. Right, so we're about halfway through almost. By the end of the day, we should be doing pretty good. We're 32 minutes in closing this candle. By tonight, when we're live, 8 p.m. EST, we should get a little bit more data. If we do get oversold in a bigger way, because we didn't drop below the 30% here on the momentum, which means that, there is the opportunity to see this thing, peak and valley, and then come down to get oversold, whereas usually you get the bigger dip. And if that means that we come down for a lower low, it's likely that we come down to, again, $97,000, $98,000. Is that possible? Sure. It could be a scenario even where we come down, sweep, and then back test in spring. These are all important things to consider because, again, there's a lot of liquidity here that can be grabbed quickly because of the stop losses and all the liquidation points at that level. And ultimately, that's where you see the market reverse, back test in spring, and bounce and get back into structure and start flying. Typical bull run price action scenario that I want to be prepared for. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Really, Bitcoin looks like it's struggling a little bit more, in comparison to even Ethereum. But the reality is there's nothing to worry about because at worst case scenario, Bitcoin going sideways allows Ethereum to flourish. And Ethereum, basically, based on the chart, is more or less either right into here or maybe into this level in comparing to Bitcoin, which means that Ethereum has a lot more upside potential and the risk to reward ratio is a lot better because Bitcoin at the end of the day is at all-time highs, looking for another extension into price discovery. So a lot of people are looking the other way at the current moment and looking for other opportunities in this market. Let's jump right into Ethereum. Let's see what's going on with ETH. You guys know ETH at the end of the day, we have to put a little bit of concern because as I mentioned, ETH big picture, if you go on the 4-day, just to kind of show you, is nowhere near tops, all-time highs like Bitcoin is. Right, it has a lot of work to do. Let me just quickly remove all this artwork here. As you can see, we got a nice bounce down here, Ethereum, and then it's kind of sideways within the channel, and we still have to reclaim, the $4,000 mark. We could still come up to previous high, hit about 5,000, and then start breaking and getting to an extension level. $10,000 Bitcoin, I think, is a very easy thing to achieve, given the fact that Ethereum is still right around $2,500. That's not much. That's a 4 or 5x max. Will get about to 10K, 4x easily, right? So it's not bad of a scenario. The problem is that we're still within structure, right? And we haven't broke structure out of the range, and the range is clearly defined. As you can see, this level right here and this level right here is a clearly defined sideways range. So if we bring the TA back, you can see that we defined this range right here on this top, right? And generally speaking, right here on these bottoms where we got the nice pivot reversal, and it worked out very, very well ultimately. So what I think now is what we need to focus on is the ability of breaking to the upside. Okay, what is the ability? Let's clean up the chart a little bit so we can see what's going on. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And you can see down here is the opportunity. The majority of the opportunity is all the way down here. Let's get rid of this. This is old TA. We've been hanging around this zone for a good while. I think it's time that we clean up here, and you can see there's a few volume gaps below, and ultimately this is a very important area. And what we're looking at is this impulse. This impulse right now is the most important zone. And this is the area where I had point of interests. And the point of interest is still here. It's still interested in this level. And the reason why is because if we don't hold a sideways structure and we retrace and we fall through the volume gap, which is this one right here, and we come to hunt liquidity into this zone, right into this about $1,800, maybe even as low as 15, the thing is that we can still double bottom and then break out, right, and then move to the upside. We can still come down for a nice retracement, 0.5 fib, get back into the discount zone, hit the nice psychological level of 2K, bouncy, and then reverse. We can still flag out here and go sideways and add more liquidity into this level at the point of control and use it as support and start calling it a cup and handle, where we get a nice rounded bottom and a handle right here, and then we break out. Guys, possibilities are endless as long as we do not make a lower low. As long as we don't break below this low, guys, we're doing okay. And that's the big picture idea here on the 4-day and even on the daily. So let's get back into the daily. Let's see what's going on the daily here. You can see this flag is looking good. We're holding, respecting structure. And this was a TA that I had here for a good while. As long as we stay above the 200 daily EMA, we stay above this level of liquidity. As you can see, there's lots of liquidity or volume supplying demand right into here. And slightly below it, there's obviously emotional liquidity right here with stop losses and liquidation hunts and all kinds of emotion. And then below it, there's none. Lots of emptiness to allow the price to fall right through to come down to the next liquidity zone back to the 1800 and maybe again as low as about 15. But in the meantime, this structure represents bullish continuation. It's a bull flag. We got an impulse, sideways, quick exchange of hands. Sellers are going to sell, buyers are going to buy. Boom, extension, right? Passively accumulating right into this level, we get a nice extension or an impulsive move. it could be a good opportunity to see Ethereum catch up to to Bitcoin, and ultimately trigger a bit of an altcoin season that would allow all the altcoins to catch a few bids. Now, what would be healthy for this market and would be to see the total market cap rise as well, so that we can get some fresh capital into this space. And obviously, it's going to happen when retail decides to come in. Macro conditions could be helpful, of course, to allow the individuals to get risk on and to make people feel comfortable to get risk on. But regardless, guys, these are the moments where before we see retail come in, you get opportunities to scale in. Now, I'm going to be looking at oscillators here. Let's see what's going on here. You can see that the momentum, this is a class B bearish divergence where you start to see sideways price action, and this the momentum starts dripping down like this. This is class B. And obviously even the green expansions, we got a good one to the upside. Now this one is a little. And then what about a bullish response? Does the orange volatility line give us a nice bullish response where we go for another higher high, and perhaps keep the purple line, the momentum line, in overbought conditions? And if that happens, it's likely we finally get to the upside. If we break down, guys, it's time to exit your longs. If you're in any risky positions, leverage or anything like that, put your stop loss right into here and see how low it goes. Wait for the structure to build, and then we go long again. In the meantime, this is a very easy way to look at the setup by looking at sideways structure. Be prepared for a bit of manipulation with the sweep of the lows, because that happens all the time. Let's get onto the 4 hour. I'll show you what I mean. This sideways structure is a very clean structure, and because of that, market makers are going to have a bit of fun. They might want to, see this happen, sweep the lows, and then bang, 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 straight back up. And this happens all the time where you get everybody's stop losses triggered, come down here, triggered, right back up, back test the horizontal support once again, and then we start looking for an expansion. We can, use this as resistance once again, or we can expect a breakout for a continuation finally, and then we start looking at oscillators once again. There's not a lot of volume in this area, as you can see, pretty flat line, no real spike, but we were overbought, and we're slowly in a downtrend. However, guys, we're very close to becoming fully reset on the 4 hour. Being fully reset while going sideways is a sign of strength, because not only is the momentum downwards, but the price is going sideways. There's enough buyers to buy the dip and cause Ethereum's price to be pegged to a very stable range. And that is a sign of strength, guys. So imagine when all of a sudden we finish the reset and we start to go bullish again. We basically pick up from where we left off. It's not like we retraced down here, golden pocket, 786, 886 retracement. Guys, we held the price pretty much from the pump and we went sideways. Now we continue the pump once we reset. And is it completely reset? I don't see it completely reset. Getting completely oversold would be the ideal way to get some indication that the bears are exhausted, right? But right now we're not there. The possibility of a dip is still there. The possibility of a fall, like a swing failure or something like that, is still there. But at the end of the day, guys, we've been going sideways all the way through, maybe a bit more sideways before we continue. I'm wondering how tomorrow will look. I think the market might be ready for some sort of movement tomorrow. If you look at the 4 hour here, the trend oscillator is looking pretty good. Let me just get this into field of view here. EMA is facing up, green histogram bars. Yes, we're in the bearish control zone, but we are also on the lower time frames. We've already stayed a little bit bearish here on this dip, as you can see, right into here. EMA cross, green histogram bars. Let's get into the bullish control zone once again and start expanding upwards the way we want to be on the daily and so on. So even the 4 hour is starting to look quite interesting. However, it's not confirming much, but it's starting to look really good with regards to risk to reward. Obviously, you put your stop loss underneath here, you build your position all into this zone, and you expect an expansion right to the previous highs, and you trail up a stop loss once it gets there, and if it expands, great, let it go. And if it doesn't, guys, at least you have that stop loss to take a small loss, and we'll see where it goes from then. That's all it is, guys. Right now, Ethereum is giving us good signals. It has been outperforming Bitcoin minutely today. Minutely. I'm just going to throw that out there. Bitcoin dominance, has been falling minutely. It's very neutral market today. But, these little moves on lower time frames definitely gear up for the next bigger moves the next day or the next, next candle and so on and so forth. So we need to be prepared, staying one step ahead of the market. Guys, if I've offered you any value here on this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. See you tonight, 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.